Some of my most satisfying trips to cities have been to smaller cities like Portland, Maine, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and New Haven, Connecticut. New Haven, particularly, we went there for just a week, and we had probably the most time efficient and bang for a buck in terms of getting the most out of a trip in a short period than anywhere else we've been to, I think. When we went to the it was a Natural History Museum in on the Yale campus. We had New Haven style pizza, Beats, and shoot, it was such a long time ago, but like I remember being very satisfied with our trip there. I think so. Like growing up in the Wilmington, Delaware area, like myself and many peers, we just like to complain that there's nothing to do there, but it's actually not the case. And I think somebody can have a similar satisfying bang for your buck or time efficient experience if you were in Wilmington for like a weekend or something, or a few days. So I'm gonna recommend some places or things to do should you ever visit Wilmington. So Wilmington, especially in the past 15 so years, has added a lot of new restaurants to the restaurant scene. And It had, even though it's a city of only 10 square miles, there have been six diners, 7 drive locations. Two of them have since closed since filming, but there's a lot to the restaurant scene in Wilmington. Like one of them that's closed was immediately outside the city limits, but in just that, like it's not that far out the city line. But so I looked at some other comparable cities in size, and Wilmington was punching above its weight in terms of how many locations there were that they filmed. Should you visit Wilmington, there are many cool restaurants along in its downtown. There's the so the Bardea restaurants. They're very popular. There's an Italian restaurant. There's a steakhouse, and then the same group, they opened up like is this kind of like a affordable like casual eats place called Coop in a spot that used to be a brewery restaurant concept. But I think they still have the brewing what do you call it, like tools or the things there I'm assuming maybe they still brew their own beer there. I'm not sure. And then there's also a place called Farmer and the Cow that was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Drives. They make these huge burger patties, very nice juicy patties, and different varieties of toppings you can get on the burgers. And there's a Cajun Creole restaurant called Wilma's, and which has a small duck pin bowling alley on the second floor. So that's kind of should be fun to do. They have two independent like art house film theaters. One's new. One's called Theater N. I forget what the other one's called, but I believe it's in the same. It's in the location as one of the two downtown food halls. So there's two downtown food halls, and there's a number of hotels you can stay at downtown. A little bit further, or right outside downtown, there's an area called Trolley Square. I used to spend a lot of time there in my 20s because it has the concentration of bars. And then they have a brewery called Wilmington Brew Works within city limits. There is a a meadery. So if you don't know what mead is a is honey wine. So you can go there. They make mead and cider, so you can try out like a flight of mead or ciders to try out. You can buy a leave with a bottle. They have board games. They host events where they bring in food trucks, and you can do things like axe throwing, cornhole, things like that. That place is called Liquid Alchemy Beverages. It's right outside the city lines, but has a Wilmington address. Definitely worth a visit. And within, again, city limits, there's the Wilmington Riverfront, which also has a number of restaurants with the back outside dining for the warmer months, looking out into the river. They have a well-maintained river walk, paved walkway. At the end of the trail, there's a nature center. They have small animals inside that you can check out. There's I think they host like bird watching or nature sighting tours. There's a trail that connects Wilmington to Old Newcastle, going along the Christina River, Newcastle's on the Delaware River, so there's a trail connecting Wilmington Riverfront to the Old Newcastle, which is along the Delaware River. It's a bike trail, but you can walk it too. And also on the riverfront during the warmer months, there's you can take a boat tour, with like that's narrated about the area's history. There's a tiki bar on the bus, so they do some of the boat tours include like a mimosa brunch. There's I think a bourbon tasting, a bourbon tour, evening sideline tour, again with with a bar on it. There's bathrooms on the boat, and what else? There's also a Delaware History Museum in downtown along Market Street where the restaurants are. So I forget how much it was, but I think it's worth it. Like, it's pretty cheap, and then a lot of information there about local history. And also not in city limits, but right outside, there's the Hagley Museum, which details the history of the DuPont family and company, which started out as a gunpowder business and is today a large chemicals and pharmaceuticals company, DuPont. There's demonstrations of how the gunpowder worked, how they made it. A lot of the devices used to make the gunpowder are still there. It's a pretty large campus to visit, and there's also like a research library in there. And also associated with the DuPont family, there's the Moore's Mansion and Gardens, which one of the DuPont family members had an estate built for his wife. It was designed after, I think, the Louvre or some Paris mansion. It was designed after, and has extensive gardens. They have a house tour. You can tour the grounds. Pretty cool. There's Winterthur Gardens, which is another DuPont-related property where they also do house tours, and they have a collection of artifacts that the DuPont family member that used to collect. And there's a larger gardens area at Winterthur. There is so Longwood Gardens is in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, which is the largest outdoor garden. Very worth a visit. They have Christmas displays during the winter. They have fountain shows, and there's a lot of golf courses, wineries, like in that between the Wilmington Kennett Square area. You can do a train, like a old school locomotive train tour, like along the wooded area outside Wilmington called Wilmington and Western Railroad. That's worth checking out, especially if you have kids. And And then outside Wilmington, there's Old Newcastle, which has among the highest concentration of colonial era buildings that still kept. And the way the reason why that happened is kind of interesting, is because so it used to be Newcastle used to be had developed because it was along the Delaware River. So when it was a port where the boats docked, so it became a transportation hub, which caused the growth. And it used to be the first capital of Delaware. Now it's Dover. But when they built the railroads, it bypassed Newcastle, so the railroad between Baltimore and Philadelphia stopped in Wilmington, which is now the largest city. So it stymied growth, or there was a economic downturn in Newcastle. So people that lived there, they didn't have funds to update, demolish, or renovate their homes. So that's why they kept the same structure and everything. So it has a high concentration of buildings built in the 1700s into the early 1800s. You can tour the courthouse there. There's a number of homes there you can tour. There's even a house you can tour that was built in 1690. This town is along the Delaware River, which has a paved walkway, which is kind of cool to walk around. So a lot of things you can do in a weekend or a few days. I think it's worth for the visit. And if you were there longer, it's about an hour and a half away from the Delaware beaches. Rehoboth, Dewey, which is hour and a half drive away. Less than an hour away from Philadelphia. 2 hours from Washington, D.C. and New York City. So all reasons why Wilmington would be a great place to visit.